Under the covers and watch. It's next, only on FX.
So I see this creature there, right? This yellowish orangish thing with the odd head movements and a ragged misshapen thing on his head, and I say, Bob, is that you? And he turns and he says to me, Geppetto? Welcome to Breakfast Time with Tom Bergeron, Laurie Hibbert, and Bob the Puppet. My name's Jim, and I'm the announcer. Say good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Tom. Out here on a beautiful day in New York. There's Madison Square Park, the Flatiron Building right behind us here in our neighborhood at the corner of 5th and 26th Street. This is Breakfast Time, the show that's adding viewers almost as fast as Judge Ito is letting go of jurors. He's down 2. We're up 1. Wait, Mona. That's right. That's right. Mona's here, our New York audience. Let's come in on the ground floor here through the FX Lounge and into Master Control. Yeah, into Master Control, where this is the real brain center, don't you think, Laurie?
Oh, yeah.
Of the whole operation.
Real Mensa meeting going on down there.
Wave, everybody. Wave. Very good. We've got Charles Perez, another proud American with his own talk show, joining us. We'll have the music of London Beat. And Chuck, can you show us where Dr. Ron Hoffman is in the apartment? Because he's going to help us understand the injuries. Hey, wave to us, Ron. The injuries that actor Christopher Reeve suffered and the 6.5-hour surgery that Reeve underwent yesterday. Also coming up, Aunt Mary Gordon, Jim's own Aunt Mary, will review the movie Congo. Now there's a match made in heaven, huh? All that and much more. Laurie, I'm going to head up the elevator to meet you in the kitchen.
All right, I'll be interested to see how Mary liked Congo. I saw it last week, and I liked it. What do you think, Jim? Do you have an inside scoop?
I don't know. I'm afraid.
Yeah, are you?
I'm very afraid.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm here with of course, our Road Warriors, Spencer and Phil, and Dr. Ron as well. And what everybody in the industry is talking about these days is this big interview that Diane Sawyer is going to be doing with Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson.
June 14th on Primetime Live. She's doing it with Lisa Marie, his wife, in Los Angeles, because they had to move it from New York. The hype surrounding this interview is incredible. People were, calling, trying to find out where and when and how they could be there.
And Oprah isn't happy about this, right?
Well, the thing is, I was going to say, that's funny you said, because Oprah was the last person who interviewed Michael Jackson. Remember, it was this big, the live interview with Diane, with Michael Jackson, and, she was really going to grill him, and she was so soft on him, and I'm wondering if Diane Sawyer is going to be a little tougher on him. What do you think?
When is that coming up?
What is
June
there
14th.
What is there to ask him about?
Well, the thing is, what Oprah did was Oprah asked everything, but she didn't follow up on anything.
Yeah.
It's like, well, do you have a chimpanzee? No. Oh, well, do you have vitiligo?
I would bet Diane Sawyer will be.
I hope so.
A bit tougher.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it'll be interesting. I mean, this is it. The whole comeback hinges on whether he can really resurrect his image. He is being rather bold, I think, from what I've read about the album. He's got some pretty dramatic songs about how he feels about how he's been treated by the press.
Yeah.
He has pictures where he's clearly embracing children and celebrating his love for children, etc. So it'll be interesting.
And the latest video, which you've seen,
I
with
just saw the
huge
preview on
statue
MTV. Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you seen it? Oh, yeah.
It's a little
Chocolate flying around, women screaming, and they reveal this big statue of Michael. And I can guarantee you, if he was like 10 years old and they said, this is what you're going to look like when you're 35. And it's like, maybe the guy with a thin nose.
Look like Diana Ross.
Yeah. Exactly.
Since we saw you last time on this very show, you might note all the raisins here.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Sunmaid, our buddies at Sunmaid, shipped approximately 10 million packages of raisins.
Whoa.
That's a heap of raisins.
That is a heap of raisins.
How many raisins to a package?
Oh, dozens. I'm guessing dozens.
So we're in the billions. We're looking at billions of raisins.
Let's say hi to Dorothy Bernice and my 3 sons.
Yeah.
We got the music, Rob. It's Dorothy and... You know this, guys? All right, so let's talk raisins some more, because obviously you're not into the My 3 Sons music, so let's join J.D. He is in Kingsburg, California. Now, that is in the Fresno, California area. And J.D., I have recently been educated that all of the raisins, could this be all of the raisins grown in the United States are within a 50-mile radius of you?
Like 75%, Tom, are within a 25-mile radius. And just to let you know, the My Three Sons thing, it was a nice attempt. Sorry it didn't work.
Thank you. Because the Hogan's Heroes tribute's coming up a little later.
We're here at Sun-Made Raisin, which is a cooperative that is owned by 1,300 raisin growers. And this is the raisin capital of the world, Tom. Look at this. We have a vineyard here. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you how Thompson's seedless grapes become incredibly delicious Sun-Made raisins. And Tom, I promise you, when you get these home, you won't have the stems on them.
Cool.
But we're just going to show you how these grapes become raisins here at Sun-Made.
All right. Thanks, J.D. He says he's in a vineyard. It's so dark where he is, he could be standing next to 5 trees and a big black cloth for all we know.
Outside of the hotel.
That's right. Patricia Moreno is here in New York City at the Hospital for Special Surgery. For all of us who occasionally get pains in the back, or higher or lower, she may have some helpful information for us this morning. Patricia?
Well, I do have some very helpful information for you this morning. Did you know that up to 80 million Americans suffer from back pain? I'm here in the Sports Medicine Exercise Center where a lot of people are using exercise to rehabilitate themselves from a lot of different injuries. But when we come back, we're going to have a back specialist here with us that says in just 15 minutes a day, 5 simple exercises, you can have a healthy back. So when we come back, we're going to be showing you exactly what those exercises are and all you need to know for a healthy back.
Thanks, Patricia. And we're going out to, and Jillian, tell me if I'm pronouncing this right, Pascagoula, Mississippi.
You got it, Pascagoula,
yes.
Mississippi. Oh, yes.
Jillian's on the Pathfinder saying, "Hey, sailor." Jillian?
I'm on the Pathfinder. What?
Oh, never.
No. I'm on the Pathfinder, which is right behind me. It's the Navy's newest state-of-the-art vessel, 327 feet, Tom. Now, when you think that 3/4 of the Earth is covered by bodies of water and that we know more about the moon than we do about our own oceans, the Navy realized that that had to change. So the Pathfinder will be setting out on its maiden voyage this summer. But before it does, we on Breakfast Time are going to get a view of some of the newest state-of-the-art equipment, some of the laboratories, and we're going to be meeting some of the people that will be conducting experiments which will monitor and map out our world's oceans. All that when we come back in the first hour in the Pathfinder.
Sounds good. Then that's in Pascagoula,
You got it on the first
Mississippi.
bit. I'm impressed.
Can we see, is the ledge cam working today? Do we have our ledge cam shut? Still down?
Still down?
So we can't wave. We can wave to Mona, but she won't be able to wave back, huh? Out there, our New York audience.
I love Mona. Camera 6 is out there?
Can we get a Mona shot? She's gone!
Yeah.
She caught the bus. She hightailed it out of town. Oh, my. She's off to Pascagoula. There are sailors there.
Good choice, Mona. I'd be there, too. We've got Dr. Ron coming up to talk about Christopher Reeve's very serious surgery that he had yesterday. But first, we're going to take a look at some of today's top stories.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Vernon Shaw. Here are some of today's top stories. And then there were 2. Judge Edel dismissed 2 O.J. Simpson jurors yesterday, leaving only 2 alternate jurors for a trial that's expected to go on for months. The defense challenged Edel's decision to release a black man, but the appeals court rejected the defense bid. A Hispanic woman was also released. Pentagon says U.S. pilots shot down over Bosnia last week may be trying to reach search and rescue teams. Officials say they've received radio signals that could be coming from the pilot. And surgeons have pieced together 2 shattered vertebrae at the base of Christopher Reeve's skull. Doctors say the 6-hour procedure may allow the Superman star to sit up and begin rehabilitation. And ABC's Nightline beat out David Letterman and Jay Leno's late-night talk shows during May sweeps for the first time in more than 2 years. Let's quick look at what's making headlines now. Here's Jim with the weather.
Yes, and remnants of Allison are pestering North Dade County as Allison hits like the Carolinas and Virginia there, but not much really to speak of. We've got showers up here in the Northland, all in a big area of showers here. And look at that, it's like a telephone, isn't it? It's like a telephone of showers there. And let's check out those high temperatures. We have your typical, actually these aren't the high temperatures of the day. These are the current temperatures or the temperatures 3 hours from now. You just have to figure it out for yourself. That's the weather.
Thank you very much, Jim. Ever since Memorial Day weekend, the country has been keeping a close eye on the progress of actor Christopher Reeves. He fell during an equestrian accident, and he broke two vertebrae in the back of his neck. Dr. Ron Hoffman is here to tell us exactly what he did when he fell. And he went through a pretty grueling surgery yesterday as well.
Yes, indeed. Well, as best we can reconstruct it, what happened was, and this is just a simple model, Christopher Reeves was on a horse, and the horse rejected a jump. Now, horses go 20 to 30 miles per hour. It's a pretty fast clip. So he was propelled forward, and the impact was on the top of the head against a fence. And what happened is his legs doubled over behind him. So the force of the impact plus the twisting this way caused two crucial vertebrae in the back of the neck to shatter. They didn't just break, but we had a shattering kind of injury. There's a spinal cord that contains all these filaments and nerves that go down the spinal column over here. This is the back of the spinal column. And as a result, when the spinal cord is damaged, whatever is below the spinal cord will experience paralysis. Now, the higher up it is, the worse it is.
Of course, because everything below.
This is as high up as you can go.
Right.
What we're talking about is C1, cervical spine 1, C2, these bones are shattered, and you have a very critical injury. There's also a nerve that comes out from the base of the skull that is the phrenic nerve, and this is a nerve that controls breathing. So the diaphragm muscle right here.
We couldn't figure out why he was on a life support system.
Right. Well, the good news, and there is a glimmer of hope in here, is that there's some sensation in the chest and there's some sensation in the neck.
Right.
Now, you may remember that there was a police officer in New York City, Officer Stephen McDonald, who had a bullet wound to the back of the spine, and he made a heroic recovery. He actually was seen at police functions, receiving awards and medals. He appeared in a wheelchair on a portable respirator, but he had a clean cut of his spinal cord due to the bullet. This is a different situation. You've got smushed up nerve tissue here. It's not really clear where it's going to go. When the swelling recedes, when the blood clots are taken out, we'll see what kind of recovery you can make.
Okay, what happened in surgery yesterday? What did they do?
Well, what they did was they fused these vertebrae so that he can sit up, and they also put some... Sure. They fused the vertebrae here so that he can sit up. They put some titanium wire and screws here. They put sort of a donut here to support the head. They also took some bone grafts from this part of the body, which is the hip, and they put that in there.
Okay. We have a doctor on remote from the Hospital for Special Surgery. Dr. Root, are you there? Dr. Root?
This is Dr. Root.
Okay, can he hear us, Patricia?
Yeah, he can hear you.
Okay.
I can hear you.
Doctor, what would you give Christopher Reeves' prognosis after this surgery?
Well, it's still a very grave prognosis. The fact that he had total paralysis and now is just getting back some slight sensation in the upper chest and the back of his neck is hopeful. But I still think we have to be very cautious about what he may eventually have. I think it's miraculous that he survived the injury in the first place.
Will he ever be able to breathe on his own, do you think?
Well, this is what we'll know in the next several days, and that will certainly affect what happens to him in the future.
Okay. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. We'll check back with you and Patricia later on. Dr. Ron, final word from you. What is the best case scenario?
Right. Well, he has a long, arduous program of rehabilitation, but with determination and modern high-tech methods, he may get to the point where there's a certain amount of movement. He probably will have restricted movement, but through rehabilitation techniques, perhaps he'll be able to guide his own mobility in a wheelchair, breathe on his own, achieve some degree of recovery. He's got a long, hard road to hoe, and our hopes are with him.
Definitely. Our hopes and prayers with Christopher Reeve and his family this morning. They're in West Virginia at the West Virginia Medical Center there. Thank you very much for coming in this morning. Tom?
Yeah.
Thanks, Lori. A lot of good information there, including the knowledge that smushed up is actual medical terminology. We've done some damage to this apartment over the past year. Chris Shriver, the man who designed it all, who has also designed sets for Malcolm X and Die Hard, oh, he shouldn't complain about us messing this apartment up. They blew up the sets in Die Hard. But check this out. Look how frayed this is. This is just an example of some of the damage we've done to this apartment. We're going to have a lot of this furniture taken out today. Chris is going to give us a tour of the apartment, and we'll just do a little redecorating to celebrate our first year. That's all coming up. And we'll talk about teen peer pressure when breakfast time continues.
Think you've seen Dynasty on other channels?
That is a lie.
Darn right, Blake.
The studios of 20th Century Fox. So now you know who done it.
FXM Movies from Fox done it with all of their June films.
It's available now. Just call your local cable operator.
It's 17 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Breakfast Time with Lori, Tom, Bob the Puppet, and me, Jim. I'm the announcer, and here's Lori and Tom.
And the Bernice family from Hasbrook Heights, New Jersey. We've got Dorothy Bernice and, yes, her 3 sons. Now,
There we go.
that's better. Dorothy, welcome. Good to have you here. Now, I understand that Guy here, which one's Guy?
Guy.
You're Guy. Who are you? You are not. You're Ernie. You just graduated from, what, 8th grade?
Yeah.
And this was like your dream. More than going to high school, more than going on to college, it was to be here with us. Is that right?
Right.
Why?
I always wanted to be on TV.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Shoot higher next time, Guy.
so as far as you're concerned, you could have been on the Home Shopping Network. It didn't matter as long as you were on TV.
Yes.
You gotta love the honesty anyway.
That's all we need to know about Guy and Bernice and the rest of the family. Jim, if people want to join us for breakfast, it's as easy as...
You write to us at Breakfast Time, P.O. Box 825, Madison Square Station, New York, New York, 10159-0825, or you call us at 1-800-FXFXFXWhat, or fax us at 212-802-4208, or email us at fxbreakfast@delphi.com. And you let us know when you're going to be in New York, and who knows, we might invite you up for breakfast, and you can be on TV, and then you don't have to do anything for the rest of your life.
Exactly. It's that easy. Right now we're going to join Patricia Moreno once again at the Hospital for Special Surgery here in New York City, and she's learning how back pain can be caused by poor posture and how you can correct that. Hi, Patricia.
Good morning, Lori. That's right. We're here in the Sports Medicine Exercise Center where we're going to meet with the back specialist who actually wrote this book, No More Aching Back, and he says with just 15 minutes a day and proper sitting, we can really have a great and healthy back. We can avoid all the back problems that we get, that so many, up to 80 million Americans can reach. So let's meet Dr. Root. Dr. Root, can we drag you away? And
Sure.
This is Dr. Root. Good morning. How are you?
Oh, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Let's talk a little bit about posture first. It affects everybody. So let's see how the right way, the correct way, is to sit. We have Mark here this morning. He's going to be our posture demonstrator. So come around on this side. And let's see what a bad posture is first. Bad posture, Mark.
All right, a little bit of slouching at this point. And what's happening is that when you are sitting, you don't control your spine. Your muscles are relaxed, and so all the things that normally support it are not working for you. So sitting is your most vulnerable position, because when you are walking, your muscles contract and support your spine.
So what's the proper sitting?
Now, proper sitting is, you see, Mark now is slouching down. He gets no support for the lower back. The proper sitting is to sit all the way back so that he has support for his back, and he can rest his back against that, and to keep his lower spine, the lumbar spine, against the back of the chair. Now, some people enjoy having a little pillow there, and that little pillow will help to support his spine. The second thing is that you want the chair high enough so that he can get both feet flat on the ground and his knees relaxed. Now, this is a position in which you can sit all day or drive all day, actually. Now, notice I don't have him sitting upright like that. That's a strain. I have him seated so he's tilted back about 10 or 15 degrees, which is much more relaxing.
So he has to sit up straight, have a little pillow, knees at a right angle, feet on the floor. You look great. Let's do the exercises. So you say, with 5 simple exercises, we're going to see how you can keep your back healthy. Now let's see the lying position first, the healthy lying position.
Now the important thing about the exercises are that they're going to strengthen the muscles that support your back in most of their positions. And when you start them off, you should be in this resting position, lying flat on a hard surface, a floor or mat, with your knees bent. Now, as soon as your knees are bent like this, your lower back is protected, so that when you're doing your exercises, you won't hurt yourself.
Okay, so that's the proper lying. Let's see the first exercise.
Now, the first exercise is pulling the knee to the chest. Now, when you pull it up, you're stretching those tight muscles across your lower back. You hold it for a count of 5, and then relax, and then do the opposite knee. Hold it for a count of 5 and relax. And then you do both legs together. Now, as you do both legs together, one of the little tricks is to bring your legs slightly apart. It's much easier, and you get an effective pull.
And that stretches out the whole lower back and
the
hip.
lumbar spine area, and that's what you want.
Well, let's move to the second exercise.
Now, the second exercise is called the pelvic tilt. What we were trying to do here is to strengthen the muscles that support your lower back. And one of the most important muscles are your gluteal muscles, called the glutes, in the trainers know. Now, this again, we start in the resting position. And what we simply do is tighten up the buttocks, but I'll put my hand underneath this lower back, And what I want him to do is to now press that lower part of your back against my hand. As he does that, he tightens up his gluteus maximus, and the pelvis tilts forward, but he does not lift his lower back off the ground. Now, that's essential, because if you lift it off the ground, you're doing the exercises improperly.
So how often should we do these exercises?
It's important to do them every single morning, and that's the key to it. You know what I tell my patients?
What?
I tell them this. I say, look, if you do your exercises every morning, I can promise you you'll never need an operation. But if you don't do them every morning, remember, I'm a surgeon. Now, I say it facetiously, and I obviously don't mean it that way, but I have to enforce upon the patient that the exercises are essential. It's like brushing your teeth every day, and if you start missing them, you'll have trouble.
So you get that? You guys have to do your back exercises every single day, or you're going to have to come and see the doctor for other reasons. So it can be easy, it can be simple. Just keep these in your morning routine, like brushing your teeth.
Okay, those are for a healthy spine, though, Tricia. I'm sure if you have scoliosis or any other sort of spinal discomfort, there are other things that you should do, right?
Exactly, of course.
All right, we'll check back with you next hour. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Patricia is at the Hospital for Special Surgery here in New York City. Home.
Very nice, Patricia. We're going to dip into the mailbag in a little bit, but right now I feel philosophical music. Oh, first of all, London Beat is here. Right? Hold on, Bob. Let's add a London Beat. Been listening to their music all morning as we got ready for breakfast time. Those of you who were with us in the 6:30 between Batman hit that we give you every morning got a little sample of that, and also a little look at Jim from behind the paper.
Yeah.
Right now we move on to Bob Keeshan, Captain Kangaroo, and a thought for the day. Bob?
An Arab proverb. When danger approaches, sing to it.
Well, what's coming up next?
You don't have to hear it on the grapevine, Tom. Breakfast Time takes you to the raisin capital of the world, Fresno, California.
Seven, 6 Central exclusively on FX.
It's 26 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Breakfast Time with Tom, Lori, Bob the Puppet, and me, Jim. I'm the announcer, and here's Tom.
With a plate o' raisins. We're in Kingsburg, California, which is right in the Fresno, California area. And that's where J.D. is, John Davis. It is the raisin capital of the world. We're not just in Kingsburg for any old reason. They got raisins, and lots of them, right, John?
That's right, Tom. You know, it's nature's candy, but it's really a fruit, and it's a fruit that comes from the grape. So we'll all sing it. I heard it through the grapevine, I heard it. Okay, we're here at Sunmade, where these people crank out 100,000 tons of raisins every year. It's a cooperative that is owned by 1,300 raisin growers in the United States, and this is Mary Clark, and Mary is a farmer. And you have a 35-acre farm where you raise grapes that become raisins, right?
Correct.
And the thing is, let's start with the grapevine. And look at this. This is what the grapevine looks like. And most grapevines are, what, 60 years old or thereabouts?
Average 60 or older, could be 70 or 80 and still producing.
What's this one?
This is probably about 25 or 30.
Can you believe that, Tom? 70 or 80 and still producing.
Well, I plan to as well at 70 or 80. Yeah.
What's interesting, Mary, besides being a farmer, a farmer's wife, your whole family is involved. She also gives tours for a lot of school kids and that. So don't worry, Mary, we'll get along fine if you're used to dealing with school kids. Now, the thing is, Tom, the raisins start to grow, or the grapes start to grow in the spring, and you harvest in the fall. So right now, these are Thompson seedless grapes, and this is where they are at this stage of the game, right?
Yes, very young. They'll start to mature middle of August on through the 1st of September. Then they'll be picked when the natural grape sugar is high enough.
Okay. Now look at this, Tom. This is what they will look like in the fall when they start to pick these. And like you said, these aren't table grapes. Like if these don't do well for raisins or whatever, they won't become table grapes.
Then they'd be used for something else altogether.
Okay. Now let me show you over here, Tom. Look at this. Now what they do is they take the grapes, they lay the grapes out on clean paper like this right in the vineyard, and then it takes like 2 to 3 weeks for the grapes to dry naturally, right?
2 to 3 weeks, depending on the weather. Usually we like something very dry, no rain. That's one reason this area of the valley is so perfect, very arid, no danger of rain.
And the thing is, we have a clip that shows a time-lapse clip to show how the grape becomes a raisin. As you can see that it's happening there, and like we said, it takes about 3 weeks, and those Thompson seedless grapes become California raisins. Look at this. Now the thing is, when you look at these, how do you know that they're up to quality and that they classify as good raisins?
They'll have a moisture of about 10 to 12% at finished drying time, and the sugar content, by the time they're finished drying, is going to be 85%.
Wow.
And the thing is, Tom, it takes 4 pounds of grapes to make 1 pound of raisins. So now what's this thing? Why do you wrap them up like this, Mary?
This is what we call a biscuit roll. When they're finished drying, we're going to roll them together like this so that any uneven moisture will have a chance to even out. They'll season for a few more days before they're picked up and put into a harvest bin.
And the thing is, then what you do is you take your raisins from your farm and you bring them here to Sun-Maid, and you put them in these bins like this, and then Sun-Maid essentially does the rest, right, Mary?
They'll do the processing, cleaning, packaging. They do all the rest.
And look at this, a lot of great grapes here, and of course you see a lot of stems, and the stems will be used for animal food as well as what else?
We try animal food. Anything that is not fit to go or not the best quality raisin to go in our box would be used for something else. And anything that we possibly can use will be recycled. And we utilize everything that we possibly can. Nothing is wasted.
Okay, so that's it, Tom. And this is going to be a good year, right? It's looking good?
Yes, we're hoping so. According to the bunch count.
Okay, Mary, it's over. Mary has been so afraid that I would do something stupid or embarrass her, so we're not going to do that. It's done. And it was painless.
Thanks, JD.
Very good.
All
right, Tom.
You guys want any cornflakes with this stuff? Is that what's holding you back? London Beat? Going right into it. This will help the singing. You got a raisin caught in your throat. London Beat with us, Laurie.
I know. I've got their guitar held hostage here in the living room. Maybe if we're nice, they'll play us to break. But first, we do have to take a look at some of today's top stories.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vernon Shaw. Here's what's making news. Legal analysts say the chance of a mistrial in the O.J. Simpson case are greater now than they've ever been. Judge Edel yesterday dismissed 2 more jurors, a black man and a Hispanic woman. There are only 2 alternates left for a trial that's expected to go on for months. IBM has launched a surprise $3.3 billion bid for Lotus Development, the 3rd largest PC software company. It will be the biggest takeover in the history of the personal computer software industry. Lotus says it'll study the offer and make an announcement in 10 days. And the first hurricane of the season has been downgraded to a tropical depression and is centered over Georgia. Before losing its punch yesterday, Hurricane Allison caused flooding in the Florida Panhandle and touched off tornadoes. No major damage or injuries were reported. And finally, holy rock and roll, Batman. The Batman Forever soundtrack flies into stores today. The album includes new songs from U2, Seal, and Matty Starr. That's a quick look at what's making headlines. Now, here's Jim with the weather.
Yes, in West Hollywood and in Beverly Hills, there are many stars, but none will shine as brightly as the spiky yellow ball in the sky, number 1 with a bullet. Remnants of Allison over here. We've still got a lot of rain area up here, coming up here in the telephone of rain in the north. Let's look at the high temperatures. And these are the high temperatures today. Look at, there's like a bull of 90s. Look at him rearing his ugly head there. All of that is the weather. Also, look at that little 60s thing. All right, that's the weather.
And that telephone of rain in the north kind of looked like the sunglasses that the Lone Ranger had to wear when they took his mask away.
That's right.
Hey, we can go back.
Yeah, we got to go back one more. Oh, no, and I've erased it already.
Well, there you go.
It can never be recreated.
Disposable weather here on Breakfast Time. You know, you might think we're just a show that gives out free raisins. Oh, but there's more.
Even more than that. More than
Is that possible?
Yeah. We have mailbag music. Maestro.
Return the sender. All right, By the way, Jim, is the weather cam standing by?
I think
Very
so.
good.
Probably,
okay.
Yeah.
This one's for you from Jenny Straley of Kent, Washington. First of all, she sent a weather shirt.
Oh, all right.
It's sort of a nice Batman motif.
Yeah.
Wet man.
Yeah.
Wet man. So, but she also
Wear it proudly, Jim.
She also wrote something that caused us to call her. Being a Washingtonian, a resident of Washington State, we see a lot of blue squigglies around these parts and feel they've been highly underrated. Please don't forget the humble blue squigglies As a reminder, I've sent a T-shirt of Washington's favorite superhero, Wetman. We called Jenny in Kent, Washington.
Yeah.
By the way, as we air live on the East Coast, it's real early there.
Yeah.
It's real early.
Sport, that's what we're saying.
Jenny, you there?
Yeah.
Morning.
What, you wake up well?
Well, I've had a few cups of artificial intelligence.
So you're right here with the rest of us.
I like that. You call coffee unofficial intelligence?
Artificial intelligence, yeah.
Now, what are these blue squigglies you're referring to?
Well, right now, if I look out the window, they're kind of black, but but yeah, they're all over the place. I mean, we've got them on our news. I don't know why you don't have them on yours. So.
Your local newsman uses blue squigglies to mention rain? Is that
I think you stole it from your spiky yellow balls, so.
Okay. Can you make blue squigglies, Jim?
Okay. Oh boy. Oh boy, can I? I can now. But I can't make blue squigglies in the state of Idaho, and I can't explain that. All right.
All right. Yeah. There are laws are different.
Yeah.
In
Right.
Different
State to state. Washington, yes.
Well, Jenny, thanks for the shirt, and we're going to send you one too. All
Okay.
right?
Well, you know what?
What?
If it's on the last 5 minutes of the news, it's on breakfast time.
What?
This might be a slogan for our PR department. What was that again?
If it's on the last 5 minutes of the news, it's probably going to be on breakfast time.
That's right.
There you go.
So the normal newscasts, which give you all the blood and gore and stuff, and then the last 5 minutes makes you feel better about yourself, right?
Yeah, they show you puppies and stuff.
That's right.
The kicker. This is an entire show on kicker.
That's right.
That's what this is.
Bring on the puppy!
Yeah. I think she's just trying to say we're 25 minutes late with the news. Is what she's trying to say.
Jenny, thank you so much for getting up so early this morning just to talk to us. Now go back to bed.
Okay. All right, well, thanks. Have a good afternoon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bring on those puppies.
Yeah.
That's right.
One quick one, or do we have to go?
We have
okay.
time?
Yeah.
Now, this
Jennifer
is an
Brown.
email that I got from
Jennifer Brown from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Tom, just a note to say I love your show. Every morning I watch while getting ready for work. Lori and you make the day more enjoyable. During the bombing in Oklahoma City, when every other station was repeatedly showing the pictures of the disaster, I knew I could depend on breakfast time to give me the needed relief to make it through another day of waiting to hear word about people I knew in the building. Keep up the good work and congratulations on the first-year anniversary. We thank you so much for this. That means a lot to us. And, of course, the P.S. is directed to Jim.
Uh-oh.
When is Jim ever going to get the weather right? Well, Jennifer, you're asking a lot.
Yeah.
Now that he's Wetman. By the way,
change.
what Jennifer did when she emailed me on America Online, I would encourage all of you who email us to do, and that is include your home address so that if we use your email, we can mail you one of these fine
Gorgeous.
FX T-shirts. Be it email, snail mail, or fax, Jim, how do they get in touch?
They should write to us at Breakfast Time, P.O. Box 825, Madison Square Station, New York, New York, 10159-0825, or call us at 1-800-FXFXFX1, or fax us at 212-802-4208, or email us, it's the 90s, fxbreakfast@delphi.com. You don't have to send me a T-shirt, but I do get the weather right twice a day. Oh, no, that's the time. Sorry.
We've got London Beat in the apartment with us. Excited about that.
Have some more raisins.
Yeah, what's coming up, Jim?
That's right. Word of the day, and we'll find out if London Beat are still thinking about you, or just about their new album. Let's see what they say.
What's the only show on TV where you can meet quirky people?
I'm older than dirt.
Rifle through their drawers? You know, just kind of ogle their stuff. Give up? Why, it's Personal FX, the collectible show, where you can...
The music that's out there to buy before you buy it. Sound effects every night, only on FX.
It's 19 minutes to the top of the hour. Welcome back to Breakfast Time with Lori, Tom, Bob the Puppet, and me, Jim. I'm the announcer, and here's Tom, Lori, and the Thin Man.
Remember, breakfast is the most important meal of the day.
Don't forget it.
Yikes.
Taking the place of Bob. Bob will be back Thursday from the dry cleaner.
That's right.
He's done enough penance for this week.
He'll be sparkling.
And Martinized.
We've got our road warriors all around the country, as always, and one of the things that we used to do in our 6:30 half hour before we got back to our 2-hour running time, which we did this week.
Our fighting weight.
That's right, is have them take a look at what's making news in their neck of the woods. So that's what's going on now. J.D. is in Kingsburg, California. John?
Hey, Tom, there's an article in the Fresno Bee. There's a small town just outside of here called Kerman. And, you know, school's out, and in the summer months, a lot of times the crime rate escalates because a lot of kids, and especially in these rural communities, have nothing to do, and essentially they're bored. Well, in Kerman, they took an old Methodist church and turned it into a youth center, and it's things like they took the social hall and converted it to a game room with pool halls, ping pong tables. The former sanctuary will be a theater and movie room and a quiet activity room. And this is their way in that small community of trying to keep the kids occupied, to keep the crime rate down. In Fresno, the DARE, which is the program to keep kids off drugs, they're running a summer camp. So a lot of the communities in this area are working very hard to keep the kids occupied this summer and hopefully keep them out of trouble.
Great
so it's
stuff.
a really good program.
Yeah, excellent
Thanks,
program.
JD.
Thank you.
And
We
of
go
course,
on.
if all that fails,
Yes.
they got raisin sculpture.
They do indeed. Pascagoula, Mississippi is where Jillian Hamilton is spending her morning. And looking at the front pages there. What's the newspaper there, Jill?
It's the Sun Herald, Lori, here in Mississippi. And right now, in this evening, as a matter of fact, in Biloxi, the city council is going to vote on the future of a theater. It's the Sanger Theater. And it's a landmark that was built in 1929. And the Mississippians are going to vote whether or not to spend $90,000 in order to repair this theater. Now, that particularly affected Marion here, who's a civilian working on the Pathfinder, because you had tickets to go and see a show at the Sanger, and there was no Sanger to go to.
That's true. Because of the flood, they had to cancel the shows. We were quite disappointed.
Yeah, so they're going to have the opportunity to vote on that tonight. I'm sure you'll be there to vote on how and how much to restore the landmark Sanger Theater here in Mississippi.
Wouldn't that be ironic in light of JD's story if they turned that theater into a Methodist
Into
church?
a Methodist church.
You know? I mean, wouldn't that be something?
But, you know, not all of life is that cyclical,
That's right.
unfortunately.
That's right.
London Beat.
Yeah.
Help me welcome them. Very excited. Now, these guys hit the charts back in 1992 with a song called I've Been Thinking About You. It was that year the most played song in the U.S. And that's not even to sneeze at, you know?
Not true.
But I got to tell you, we had Nelson here a couple of weeks ago, the band Nelson, and sort of the same thing that happened to you happened to them in that right out of the box they had this #1 smash, huge hit. And they almost called it a curse instead of a blessing. I was wondering how you guys felt about that instant fame.
Well, it's kind of the syndrome of being locked into a thing and being so identified with it that the constant question is, how do you follow that act, you know?
Yeah.
You don't follow it. You just move on and do the next most inspired thing you can come up with, and I think that's the only answer to it, really.
Given a second chance at it, would you have preferred a slow, steady climb rather than a #1 right out of the box?
We take it the way we get it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
We have to say, in the rest of the world, i.e. outside of America, we'd had 3 or 4 other hit singles before, which
Right.
weren't released in this country. So we had a kind of a slow, steady climb in some places.
Yeah. This is the center of the universe, though, so
Oh, of course.
bear with me.
It's an overnight success after 25 years.
Are you a little smarter, though, this time? Now that you've had that, you know, oh, we love you, babe, we love you, you're the best, and, you know, do you find that this time you're a little more savvy putting this album out?
What do you think, Chirp?
We can deal with it because, you know, like Willie said, we've had a long time preparing and doing ourselves, getting ourselves ready for this. So, yeah, I mean, we can handle the situation.
The CD is called London Beat, and a long time between 92 and 95. That's 3 years after, you know, people feel that you're riding on the crest of this incredible success. You should, like, jump on it and get another album out immediately, but you waited a while.
Well, what happened was the last album, which was called In the Blood, was a hit in like 26 countries, and we went to all those countries, toured, played, met people, did this kind of show all over the world.
No. There is no show like this.
No, what I mean by this kind of show is this kind of show.
Oh, I see.
Call this early. And that's really why it took so long, because a lot of touring, a lot of people to see, you know.
Yeah.
And
Gosh, it must be exhausting and exhilarating. I mean,
Very.
is it kind of if this is Tuesday, this must be Belgium kind of feel to it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, but there's a certain kind of energy you get off of, they call it the third legs or something, you know, second legs somewhere along the way, whereby a new kind of energy takes over when you think you can't do anymore, you know. I was watching something last night on the box on telly about a baseball pitcher, Don Newcomb or somebody, who sort of found this new energy, you know, when he'd been playing so many games that, he didn't think he'd last another second or two.
Willie Mays?
Maybe.
Yeah. Well, this is looking very good. I have to ask you, there's a song on here, and I'm trying to find the title. It's all about I'm nothing but your puppet on a string. And you know, we have a puppet that is usually on this show.
Can we see your puppet?
Unfortunately, he's at the dry cleaner this week. But we were hoping that we're going to actually play something. Was that possibly the one you were going to play?
Well, we're going to do a tune called I Want to Change Your List, which is I want to change the title of the song that you've asked us to do.
Only on Slick or what? Only on one condition. I think your wet T-shirt will go down well in England. What's it called? Wet Man? Wet Man.
Wet Man. Wet Man.
Oh, I can see you in one with nothing else but a smile. It's a big hit. Go down well in London, I tell you. Yeah.
I thought they were going in a very different direction, too.
Okay, I think we should just play. London Beat.
Blue is the ocean. Blue is the sky. Blue is my heart line. Blue makes me cry. Blue for the mountains. Blue for the children. Blue for the ancient. Blue for pollution. Don't get me started. Don't try to stop me. Don't go stealing. Just let me breathe. Don't rob me of it. Don't take my moment. Don't go stealing. You just let me breathe. Oh, let me breathe. I want to change all this. I'll wave my hand and I'll make a wish. 'Cause nothing quite as simple as it seems. No, no. Once the words are said, and once the beast escapes, nothing quite as simple as it seems. No, 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 no. Nothing quite as simple as it seems.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very nice.
London Beat.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Beautiful stuff.
Very nice. We've got a lot more show coming up, and Jim's going to tell you one of the
That's
reasons
right.
why you should stay right there.
Mapping the ocean floor on a Navy ship, mapping our apartment floor. Nothing's as simple as it seems.
Hi, this is B.D. Wong, and this is Rotor, and you are watching FX Day and Night.
It's
It's 7 minutes to the top of the hour. Welcome back to Breakfast Time with Tom, Lori, Bob, the Puppet, and me, Jim. I'm the announcer. And this is London Beat.
All of the feeling working together. All of the feeling, no better. Power, people, flower, people. We got the power. People, flower, people, flower, people, flower, people, power. London Beat.
Now, don't get too comfortable on that furniture, because it's all getting taken out here. We had a shot of Chris over there. Chris Shriver over there talking to Joyce Caruso is the guy that designed the FX apartment. and he claims we've trashed the place in a year. So, come on, Chris, it's not that bad.
It was the puppet slime.
Yeah, that's right.
What do you
Puppet
say?
slime all over here.
Blame Bob.
So we're gonna redecorate, and it's all gonna happen right in front of your eyes in just a moment.
Indeed, but first,
What?
we have a word of the day, I hope.
Oh, yes, I can answer. I can provide one of those, but first, can I ask you any question I want to, and you promise to answer it honestly as possible, no matter how personal or embarrassing?
Sure she will.
No.
Well, that's right, because you have some, Maestro,
You don't want this one.
compunctions.
Yes, I do.
That's right. And that is distress of mind over an anticipated action or result. All right, but it's also...
Daily.
That's right. And compunction, though, also is anxiety resulting from awareness of guilt. Not that I'm suggesting that. That's another possibility. But whereas qualms, for instance, are just like bad feelings about something, with compunction, there's guilt involved.
So if we have no compunction about bringing you this show every day...
It's dishonest.
Yeah.
And what else is it, Jim?
It's the word of the day.
Thank you, sir.
Very much. Very good. He's very talented. We have a word of the day every day. As a matter of fact, if you're a new viewer to Breakfast Time, Jim has a little something he shares with America every single morning.
Yes, and most of us are getting shots for it.
Let's head to Pascagoula, Mississippi, shall we? Jillian Hamilton is aboard the Pathfinder. It's the Navy's newest oceanographic vessel where data is collected and interpreted so they can learn more about the ocean's
Is
climate.
Picard there, you think?
Is Captain Picard there?
Captain Picard? Not yet. I think we'll be meeting him in our second hit.
Oh, good.
Make it so.
Make it so.
Was that a joke that I didn't
Yeah,
get?
that's okay. That'll
Not
explain
much
it
of
in the
one, that's
commercial
right.
break.
Oh, wait, that's that seafood. Oh, it's the frozen seafood. Oh, gosh, I'm off to a bad start. Well, thank goodness I can recuperate with the information that the Pathfinder collects. It's the newest state-of-the-art oceanographic vessel that the Navy has, and it will be taking its maiden voyage later this year, collecting data, collecting information that will help not only the military, but civilians in their everyday lives. This is Captain Aldiger, and right here we have a machine that's coming up, and this machine measures the amount of salt in the water. What is the name of this machine, and what does it do?
Jillian, you're absolutely correct. This is a CTD, and basically it measures the salinity of the water and allows us to tell the speed of sound in the water, which helps us to map the oceans of the world. You can see 12 bottles on there, and they're electronically controlled, and we can set them off at specific depths and capture that water bottle to be able to tell the specific properties of water at those depths.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. I'm going to see you in a few moments. We have Lieutenant Lintz here, who's going to show us how the water's actually extracted from the bottle.
Basically, we just activate this little mechanism into another bottle, and then we take that bottle and put it in a machine called a salinometer, and that will give us a specific salinity of the water.
Okay, thanks a lot. Over here, Tom and Lori, we have a very advanced camera. It's actually got a picture of Jaws painted on the front, which is kind of funny. But what does this camera take pictures of?
Jillian, this is actually a remotely operated vehicle. It works on a tether, and it's got cameras of both still cameras as well as a movie camera, and it's got a little reticulated arm. And how we use this is we basically take a look at those obstructions that we find on the bottom of the ocean to identify them carefully.
What kinds of things have you been able to pick up with the arm?
We're able to see rocks and shoals and all kinds of obstructions to navigation, wrecks and hazards. We even actually use it to look for recovery of things at the bottom of the ocean as well.
And what kind of things have you seen?
Well, in fact, we've been able to see a downed helicopter. One of the militaries lost a helicopter, and we use this particular vehicle to be able to identify that and be able to recover it. So It's really kind of neat.
Thanks a lot. See you again in a few seconds. Back to Lieutenant Lintz, and you've got a very sophisticated thermometer.
Yes, basically it's a disposable. We call it an expendable bathythermograph. We deploy it while the ship is still moving. It gives us the temperature and depth, and relays the information back through by this copper wire up to a computer in the laboratory.
All right, thanks a lot. They all speak so well here. It's incredible. It makes my job a lot easier. Now, the vessel is comprised of both civilians and military. Tell us about the relationship between civilians, scientists, and military on the Pathfinder.
Well, you're absolutely right. This is a real special mix of not only naval service, but also civil mariners. As a matter of fact, the ship is operated for the Navy by the Military Sea Lift Command, which are civil mariners that allow us to take data. It's really kind of interesting because that data is used not only by the United States Navy, but all civil mariners that sail throughout the oceans of the world. So it's a nice mix. It works out quite well.
Speaking of civilians, we have Marion here, who has 50,000 years of data in her hands. Can you briefly, in 15 seconds, Marion, tell us what you have exactly?
Okay, this sample was taken in the central Mediterranean, and if you notice, See this line? This is ash from volcano that was erupted, Mount Etna.
Now, how do you know that this represents 50,000 years ago, dirt from the bottom of the ocean 50,000 years ago, and this more recent sand or dirt?
Well, because we X-ray and we know what animals that have perished and when they lived, and we can date the sediment with the animals that we know that are in here and involved in the day-to-day living on the bottom of the ocean.
Okay, thank you so much, Marion. When we come back, we're going to be taking at other machinery like this, go into the laboratory on the Pathfinder, and find out exactly how they are able to monitor the oceans and seas of the world. That's when we come back in the second hour.
Jillian, thank you very much. We're the Pathfinder in Pascagoula, Mississippi. Willie, you were saying that you wanted to say thank you to some...
Yeah, a seamless link, but a true one. I'm a scuba diver, absolute passion of mine. And some sleazeball stole my scuba gear in Philly Station the other day. And I posted up on the internet and said, does anybody see my gear? And I had about 100 replies from divers all over America saying, bad luck, really sorry about that. And I had like open offers of people saying, come stay with me, I'll take you out, I'll lend you gear.
Wow.
I just want to stay on TV. Thank you very much. I'll be very
Thank you for
bored.
that following, so your message will get out. It's great.
That is, I mean, the miracle of cyberspace. I mean, it's just incredible, the communities you can immediately tap into. Rob, could you give me that music you had playing under Jillian again? Just for a second. I loved it. No. I guess it doesn't pay to compliment Rob. In that case, kiss this furniture goodbye. We're about to kick off our 8 o'clock hour.
Where are the snows of yesteryear? Remember Jimmy Durante, hot cha-cha-cha, or Danny Thomas, eyes wide for the spit take? That, what's that? Snows? It's not nose? Welcome back to Breakfast Time with Larry Hibbert, Tom Bergeron, and Bob the Puppet. My name's Jim, and I'm the announcer. Let's say good morning. Here's Tom.
Gee, I thought I was being so nice to him, too. Compliment the music. Nah.
I think we only have one little machine down there, and he has to keep loading and reloading. Obviously, the Breakfast Time theme was in there.
Yeah, Gerbil needs a rest. Charles Perez, one of the 7,014 Americans with their own daily talk show, joins us. Our former talk show producer, who was told by, I think, Ricky Lake's executive producer, when he said, I want to have my own talk show, she suggested he go into therapy.
Yeah, because it's, that easy. Just, I want to have a talk show, and you do it. Actually, he financed his own pilot and shopped it around.
Pretty well.
It's a pretty interesting story about him. Also, Dr. Ron Hoffman joins us again this hour to talk about the hazards of high heels, like he knows. But he'll actually talk about what you can do to make it a little easier on your feet. Well, maybe he does know.
Yeah. That's our special nighttime edition.
Yeah,
let's say out to our road warriors and a bonus road warrior today. First of all, let's go back to Kingsburg, California, just outside of Fresno, where J.D. is raising raisins.
Hey, Tom, look at this. The raisin capital of the world, we want you to know. Look at this. All of these are sun-made raisins. What's interesting, raisins have been around since biblical times, and back in the old days, it was the only way to store grapes because they didn't have refrigeration. But what's interesting, in the 1870s, the way it got introduced to the United States is they had a very, very dry season, and the grapes shriveled up. So they took them to market and said that they were a Persian delicacy. They were the hit of the season. This is a true story, and Americans fell in love with raisins, and we've been in love ever since. So when we come back, we're going to see how it goes from this to the box that you buy at home.
All right, J.D. Do you remember that
Actually, you buy it in the store.
When Eve made Adam eat the raisin, and they were kicked out of that garden, that nifty garden?
Raisinets?
That's right. Yeah, they felt like goobers, though, didn't they, after that? Patricia is in New York City. She's at the Hospital for Special Surgery, where we're learning about non-surgical ways to ease your back pain. Patricia?
Well, we're not going to find out non-surgical ways to ease your back pain, but what we are going to find out...
All right, let's get Rob's music then. Rob, play that music for me.
But what we are going to find out are different ways to diagnose back pain and what you might need to ask your doctor about your back pain and how you can figure out exactly what's wrong with you without spending more money than you really need to. When we come back, we're going to be finding out all the different techniques doctors use to figure out and pinpoint exactly what your problem might be.
Thank you, Patricia. Now we're going to Pascagoula, Mississippi. And Jillian Hamilton aboard. Little louder with the music, Rob. Thank you so much. She's aboard the Pathfinder. I'm having a religious experience. Pass me a raisin.
This side of you.
Sure. But I'm actually on my way into the main laboratory. Now, this is a privilege for breakfast time, Tom and Lori, because this door is absolutely locked to anyone but civilian and military personnel on the Pathfinder. When we come back, we're going to be going inside this door, and we're going to be finding out what they do and how they analyze the materials that they have collected that we saw in the first hour. We're going to go back into the laboratory, analyze them, and find out the significance of the results of those experiments when we come back in the second hour.
Thank you, Jillian. Is this the point in Star Wars where Darth Vader was saying to Skywalker, "Come to the dark side, my son"?
So you do good without a baton, though.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There's a straight line I'm going to let pass.
That's right.
And John Burke from Personal FX is doing a cameo appearance with us to finally settle a question posed several weeks ago when Kelly Martin was our special guest. Is Goofy a dog or what? John is in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. John?
Well, Tom, now I know that last week you had a big debate on whether or not Goofy was a dog or not. And I finally found somebody who can put this thing to rest once and for all. Going inside the Goofy room, a Goofy super collector out here in Pittsburgh. She has over 1,000 pieces of Goofy stuff that we're going to be taking a look at a little bit later on. And don't talk to me anymore because at the moment I can't hear you. So that's coming up a little bit later on, Tom.
Is he a dog?
He can't hear us. Oh, isn't that convenient?
Oh, now you're asking me if is Goofy a dog?
Yes, Goofy is a dog.
All right, there it is. It's settled. Goofy's a dog.
Yes! Yes! Testosterone! Yes!
I know this might not be important to you,
I can't
but
go
the
on.
stuff I've been putting up with.
No. The stuff I'm going to put up with now that he's been vindicated. Ay.
The cow, for Pete's sake.
Let's go to news. Let's take a look at the stage talk. Oh, no.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vernon Shaw. Here's what's making news. Judge Edel says it'll decide today how to handle O.J. Simpson's request to leave the courtroom when autopsy photos of his ex-wife and Ronald Goldman are displayed. Meanwhile, an employee of the Los Angeles District Attorney's Office has filed a $12 million lawsuit against O.J. Simpson prosecutor Christopher Darden and others in the case. Pamela Mills claims they grilled her for dirt on Simpson's first marriage and pressured her to lie. Mills says she doesn't even know Simpson's first wife. South Carolina officials have come up with a program that may help the state keep Shannon Faulkner and other women out of the Citadel. The military college would fund 2/3 of a $10 million women's leadership program at Converse College in Spartanburg. State taxpayers would fund the rest. And finally, it might be time to buy some locks. A recent poll shows 25% of people who've been in a friend's bathroom confess to using a friend's toothbrush or comb. And 39% say they always sneak a peek inside the medicine cabinet. Well, that's a quick look at what's making headlines now. Here's Jim with the weather.
That's right. And morning sun, Iowa. We'll see morning clouds. And it's kind of a dog day there, kind of goofy weather there. We also have the remnants of Allison hitting over here, and spiky yellow balls in Denver, L.A., Phoenix, and actually a very pleasant day in the Northeast. Let's look at those high temperatures. And as you can see, this is more like a jigsaw kind of puzzle day, which is good. Look at that nice purple blob of 50s in the northwest there. What's that say to you? It's the weather. And by the way, today's weather is a Persian delicacy. That's the weather.
Yes, I remember your forecast in biblical times, by the way. Well, the furniture is being taken out to be recovered and updated after the first year on the air. You know, in some magazine articles, the real star of the FX network is said to be the apartment. And I don't think many of us would argue with that. Chris Shriver, who designed our whole apartment, is here. How about a hand for Chris? Yeah! He gave us a home. And I understand, I heard through the grapevine, if you don't mind the reference, that that you think we've trashed the place.
You've been pretty tough on it.
Yeah.
You've been pretty tough on it. I mean, take a look at some of the corners and edges.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
But 40 guys a day and a llama, it's tough on any furniture.
Now, while the movers are putting the furniture, the replacement furniture in here.
Yeah, this is just temporary furniture.
Oh, God,
that's gonna.
so.
That's right. These chairs are pretty frighteningly big, aren't they?
How much are we paying for this a day?
Well, that's right.
Now, take us through the apartment, Chris, as time allows, and tell us which influences led you to design each room as you did.
Okay.
All right. Now would be good, Chris.
Oh, this room
Rob,
was...
how about that music again?
This room was a New York loft.
Uh-huh.
We're in a factory building. Almost all lofts in New York are factory buildings originally, and so we picked up that influence, turn-of-the-century architecture for inside.
Delmonico's Steakhouse. used to be
Delmonico's
here, right?
Steakhouse,
Yeah.
that's right. That's
Yeah.
why we put in a steak kitchen.
There you go. Okay. Now this
Steak through your heart.
Yeah, right.
Steak in my heart.
One, huh? Now this whole area, this was a multi-purpose area, living room, dining room, and kitchen.
Right.
And why'd you decide to go that route?
Peter Feynman told me to.
Okay. Peter Feynman, the original executive producer of...
No, we needed a big area that would accommodate, you know, our home, basically. We needed to be able to... Look how many people are in here.
That's
How could
true.
you do that
That's true.
if we didn't have a big living room?
Now let's come down the hallway here into the bedroom area. Now
Right.
what did you choose in here for design?
Well, I chose everything.
Yeah.
This was all done, you know, from the ground up. I don't know if you remember when we first came here that this was just, you know, all completely raw space. There was no walls, no anything. So this was sort of classical, you know, classical things with a lot of color. The idea is that a bedroom for FX can't be a real serious bedroom.
Right, that's right. The study, I mean, this is a bit more weighty, this room with the busts of presidents and authors and such.
That's right. This is the room of knowledge.
Yes.
This is the room of knowledge.
That's
where
right.
we do the news, where we should know what we're talking about when we come
stay
from
the
this
heck
room.
out of here
That's
most of
right.
the time.
Well, that's right.
There goes the couch!
Yeah.
Be careful with that. Many a puppet has slimed that couch. Now coming down here, no morning show is complete without a working bathroom.
Well, that's true. The biggest issue that we had to deal with throughout, Tom, was making this apartment what I like to call camera-centric. I mean, the rooms had to be big enough that these guys could get through and that we'd have room to work around each other. So in New Orleans, a lot of the bathrooms are just converted rooms in the house, and that's really where I got that idea.
The game room. This is probably my favorite room in the
This is the
apartment.
game room.
Yeah.
And we've recently added the computer area. I mean, what bigger toy for the men around
Here's the
and women
web
as
page.
well.
FX webpage.
Many hours are spent there perusing that web. And we picked as many things about thinking as we could here.
Poor
so-
London Beat, they came in here, they decided, we'll play a song, we'll get breakfast, it'll be a piece of cake. Now check this out, one of the things in our ballroom, and I want to talk about the design of the ballroom, but that Chris added was a gargoyle-like sculpture of himself.
When FX has been on for 30 years, I will look like that. The computer simulated is what I would look like 30 years from now.
Now this is probably the most discussed addition to the
Disgusting
apartment
addition
ballroom.
to the...
I love this. I love this room.
It's a neoclassical ballroom in which we took many, many liberties with period and paint and anything else, as you can see. This room is a very theatrical treatment, more so than any place else. Everything else was done pretty much, you know, in a realistic building manner, and here I used a lot of the techniques that I've learned in the film trades to make these walls look like they've had, you know, many, many coats of paint on them and give it this sort of decaying decadence. I don't know what that's got to do with FX
That's
or
all right.
not,
Well,
but-
now, when will the furniture be back so we can start trashing the new design?
Well, it'll be back, we're hoping end of next week. I've actually brought you some swatches, so we're going to have a little bit of a different look. This will be your sofa. Now it's the same color value, but we're doing a little, kanji character. The two rest chairs are staying, but we're brightening them up a bit. And your favorite bullet chair, and if you don't stop sitting on the arm so hard, but we're putting a lot of steel in it, so you'll be all right. It'll be all right.
Titanium reinforced.
That's right.
Chris Shriver, the man who designed our home. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you.
Good stuff. Laurie?
London Beat checking out our new furniture, thinking it's pretty good. Charles Perez in the apartment, hanging out in the kitchen. Big stuff coming up on breakfast time. Jim, what's it all about?
The lowdown on high heels, Lori. Dr. Ron's not playing footsie. And how the California raisins go from grape to great. It's 17 minutes past the hour. Welcome back to Breakfast Time with Tom, Laurie, Bob the Puppet, and me, Jim. I'm the announcer, and here's Laurie.
High heels may be very fashionable, but it can also be hazardous to your feet, especially if you wear them all day and all evening as well. That's why Dr. Ron Hoffman has hung out here today. We also have Charles Perez, because who knows, maybe you might have to wear high heels on your show one day.
I'm working on it.
And he's going to tell us the hazards of high heels, because high heels can really do a lot of damage
Yes, they
to
can.
your feet.
You know, I think it's a cultural thing. You know, in China, they used to bind the feet of women who had these very small, you know, deformed feet were considered the pinnacle of fashion. And it was a very cruel custom. But in this country, in a way, we're doing that too, because this causes a tremendous amount of damage to feet.
Yeah, you crams your toes into the top.
Well, let's use this chart to illustrate what happens. Can you get insight on this? What happens is, say you take a 120-pound woman, average weight. With a normal foot position, you distribute that 60 pounds forward, 60 pounds aft. You know, the heel and what's called the metatarsal part of the foot. If you get into high heels, you put all that weight on the front of the foot. This is what happens. You squunch the foot forward, and you put weight on a part of the foot called the metatarsal, which is
the ball of your foot.
The ball of your foot, common word. This is the metatarsal bone. Pain occurs here. Your toes get squunched forward, and they get compressed forward into the shoe. So what you're going to get is you're going to get calluses, you're going to get hammer toes.
So why do you do this?
There's a reason. There's a reason. Good question, Charles. You must be experienced in asking questions. This is an example here of what happens. We'll just take a look at the posture. The posture that occurs with high heels is something called lordosis. And what you have is you have like a scooped out back, but you thrust the front of the body forward in an inviting fashion. This is a
it like
sexy
accentuates
look.
the female.
Exactly. It accentuates the female anatomy.
Or transsexual.
And it does. It makes your legs look good.
Right.
But the problem is it puts pressure here at the base of the spine. So chiropractors also deplore this high heel look. Now, who of you here has foot problems? Anybody here have foot problems? Most of you women have foot. You have foot problems. You have foot problems. Susan over here has foot problems. Look at the heels Susan's wearing. She said, "These are high heels. These are not even high by comparison to some of the shoes that I have."
Yeah.
But describe your foot problem. Can you balance yourself while we take a look at this?
Sure.
Okay. What happens is these are real narrow here, and what happens is the toes get compressed. Can you get this off here? All right. You have to unhook it. Oh, you can see I'm really good at undressing women here. Okay, what she has...
You're telling us more than we want to know, Ron.
She has what are called hammer toes. Hammer toes, which are caused by the squunching up of the toes in front. One of the types of common problems that occur with
a brave woman.
Okay, we're running out of time a little bit. Is there any way... That's my next... Shut up, all right? I have a job here. What is the best way to alleviate this kind of... and other pain?
Surgery. She's contemplating surgery for this at the tender age of... You'll never reveal. Okay, but you see, this is the kind of thing that can happen.
Yeah.
Now, what we suggest, practical shoes, flats, a little bit more padding under here so that there's not the impact. Wear sneakers like this on the way to work. You know, this is an acceptable look. Wear these and,
and
then
also
slip
vary
into
your
something.
shoe. I mean, if you're going to wear high heels,
Yes.
wear them like twice a week. And wear other shoes, more comfortable shoes, maybe a lower heel and stuff like that.
Rotate your shoes.
Rotate your shoes. Dr. Ron, thank you very much.
Okay.
Very informative as always.
I'll note that, Doc.
And I just want you to know, Tom, that we are, if nothing, very resourceful and recyclable here at breakfast time. One side, the shoes. The other side, the turkey beef calorie count.
Yeah.
Little mailbag music.
Tomorrow will be the weather.
Right. By the way, there's a call from Bob Vila for the hammer toed model. We're going to Patricia now, are we? Patricia Moreno. She is at the Hospital for Special Surgery. Patricia, by the way, after you're done with your segment, stick around because we have a special mailbag letter specifically for you coming up.
I like that.
All right, but we're taking a look at ways to ease back pain today.
Well, what we're doing is we are going to meet a specialist in diagnostic and non-operative, and here he is. Surprise, surprise. This is Dr.
Non-operative what?
Non-operative and diagnostic techniques.
Okay.
And this is Dr. Alex Simotis, and he's going to explain to us a little bit about that. But first, explain to us, what are some of the common causes of back pain?
Well, as you know, there are many factors that contribute to back pain, and they may include poor posture, repetitive stresses to the spine structures, or even psychological stress might contribute to back pain.
A lot of different things, but you know what we always hear about is herniated discs. Can you explain to us a little bit about what that means?
Sure. Basically what happens is a disc is a functional joint in the spine connecting the bones, and the inner layer of the disc may push through the outer layers and tear and compress the spinal nerve. Now that causes frequently back pain with radiation of pain into the leg that we call sciatica.
So if someone says, I have a pain in my back, what are some of the things you can do to diagnose exactly what's wrong with that?
Okay, frequently what would happen in a patient that has more severe symptoms is we would start off with a plain x-ray. And the x-ray gives us a picture of the patient's alignment and any serious underlying problems he might have. Now, in this patient, we did an x-ray, but I knew he had a more serious problem. He had sciatica, and he also had some leg weakness and neurological problems.
And it wasn't showing in this x-ray?
Could not see that on an x-ray. The x-ray only shows bony structure. It does not show any kind of disc problems.
So what did you have to do?
Well, we jumped ahead and we looked at his MRI scan. Now, just to review, in the past what we would have done probably is to obtain what's called a myelogram. And in a myelogram, a needle is placed in the patient's spine, a radio-opaque or contrast dye is injected, and that dye fills up the spinal canal. And then what we would do is get a CAT scan. Now, here is a patient who's had that done, and as you can see, the spine is now cut in half so that these are the cuts that are done so that we see.
So we're looking at it this way.
Yeah, that's right. We're now looking at the spine cut this way, and the inside of the canal is white where it's been injected with dye. That enables us to picture the nerves and if there's been a compressed nerve.
But now the more advanced technique is
MRI
the
scanning.
MRI.
MRI scanning enables us with new technology. It's based on nuclear technology that's different than X-ray. It enables us to picture the soft tissues of the spine in more detail. It also enables us to get a picture which is a different position. This is what's called a sagittal cut. It shows the spine cut en face so that we can see the disc structures and the herniation of the disc.
So this is like the fillet of the x-ray that we saw. So if someone wants to, they have back pain, should they go in and say, I want an MRI? You're saying that MRIs nowadays are very trendy, but they're not also always necessary, is that right?
That's right. You have to be, it's very important that patients be aware that most back pain is treatable and is relieved in a short period of time. You don't need an MRI for it. But when an MRI is indicated, it's important to go to a specialist who understands what needs to be done and that a good quality MRI is done. We see a lot of bad quality MRIs that are done needlessly and have to be repeated.
So don't just go to anybody to get your MRIs done. Find a specialist and keep your back strong and healthy.
All right, Patricia, thanks a lot. And stick right there for the mailbag segment in just a moment.
Okay.
But before we do that, so one of the things about this show, Charles, is we have great plans for it every day. It's like a sausage that we
I can
just
tell.
keep stuffing stuff into.
I feel stuffed.
Well, this is the first time this has happened. I have to talk, Jim, to your Aunt Mary for a moment.
Good luck.
Aunt Mary, I think we're running a little late. Would you
What does
be...
that mean?
Well, what it means is I don't know that we're going to get to the movie review segment today.
Well, we've got to show the cake, or...
We can still eat the cake?
Sure.
All right, now, can you come back later in the week, Paul? Is
Sure,
that
I
right?
try to make another banana cake, though, because it has to be banana cake for this picture.
All right, banana cake for Congo. But you can...
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not my decision. Don't make me feel like a heel here.
Anthony asked me to make a banana cake, being there was gorillas.
So you're more concerned that we just enjoy the cake, not that you do the movie review.
Oh, no, well, you said you don't want to do it today.
Well, personally, I would love to.
I'll do it again.
I know. That's enough. All right, now we got mailbag music live here.
Yes.
Lori asked London Beat to sing.
Oh, I like this song.
We gonna sing?
I've been thinking about you. Oh, yeah. I've been thinking about you. Oh, I've been thinking about you. I'm thinking about you. Pow,
You guys are great. Can you just stay and be our house band forever? Another email. This one came to me on America Online from Gary Metzger of Long Beach, California. And Patricia, heads up, I love breakfast time, but I have to ask, where are Patricia Moreno and the Spandex Rangers? I mean, I know she's doing some features, and I can appreciate that being a journalist myself. However, I'm also a 41-year-old aerobics instructor, and I really miss getting some fresh daily step routines to share with my students. Now, here is his invitation, Patricia. You can go out and take his double-step class, and he'll give you and the Breakfast Time watchers the 50-cent tour of the nation's finest newspaper, the LA Times, where he is the Metro News editor.
Wow.
Wow.
That
sounds like a great idea, but I think he's sending the letter to the wrong person.
We could send you out to the L.A. Times.
Let's do it.
All right. Good
Here
enough.
goes Tom spending the money again.
Yeah, let him eat cake. Let him eat banana cake.
If you have anything you'd like to say to us via fax or email or regular mail, if we read it on the air, we will send you an FX T-shirt, and here's Jim with all the information you need.
Our channels are open. You can write to us at Breakfast Time, P.O. Box 825, Madison Square Station, New York, New York, 10159-0825. Or you can call us at 1-800-FXFXFX1. Or you can fax us at 212-802-4208. Or you can email us at fxbreakfast@delphi.com. You can send smoke signals. There are just
Whatever.
We read it on the air, you get a T-shirt.
Yeah.
One of the guests in this apartment has 10 feet.
Whoa.
And we'll find out who coming up.
There's a tease if I've ever heard.
That's right.
That's the go to break kind of
That's
thing.
right. When people get dried out and wrinkly, they sometimes get crabby. But grapes get very, very sweet. We'll prove it on Breakfast Time.
Hi, I'm Jean Smart, and you're watching FX. TV made fresh days.
What goes available now? Just call your local cable operator.
Yum, 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 FX.
It's 29 minutes to the top of the hour. Welcome back to Breakfast Time with Lori, Tom, Bob the Puppet, and me, Jim. I'm the announcer. And here's Lori, Tom, and Charles Perez.
Charles Perez is here with us to talk about his talk show. And we're sitting in the cheesy replacement furniture until our regular
Even
furniture.
this isn't working for
I
me,
like
Chris.
this. You like this?
Nice, yeah.
That's yours.
Well, we'll send it over
Mine.
here.
Take it.
A little behind-the-scenes stuff. You know, Aunt Mary's movie review has been rescheduled because we're running late today. Apparently, we checked the rundown. This is sort of our first draft of how the show's supposed to go.
Yeah.
We are 10 minutes behind where we're supposed to be. We're in double digits. Scheduled segments are dropping like flies, ladies and gentlemen.
And we're proud.
Yeah.
All right, without wasting any more time, let's go to John
You think
Davis.
we're done now?
Yeah, we're done.
Yeah, thank you for coming in. You're great. Watch Charles Perez. There we go. John Davis is in Kingsburg, California, where they're making raisins and boxing them up and sending them out to kids who will eat them. Hi, John.
Hey, Lori. Earlier we found out how Thompson seedless grapes become California raisins. Whoa, it's all right. Our producer caught it. Well, what we're going to do is show you what happens when the raisins get from the crates to the Sun-Made plant here. And this is Barry Kriebel, and Barry is the president here. And Barry, you're going to show us what's going on up here. Now, Barry's been the president of Sun-Made here for 9 years. You've been with the company 15.
Right.
Now, what's going on here,
This
Barry?
is the beginning of the processing. You've seen how the raisins come in from the field, and this is the beginning of the line. We've got 5 stemmers here. You can see how as the raisins come in, they've still got dust and stems and different foreign materials. So this is going to be the beginning of where we take the big stems out of the good fruit.
Okay, so it goes up the line and it gets sorted a little bit here. So then we go down here, and if you look as we go down, what's going on through these bins?
These are trommels that are separating the large stems from the raisins. And then as we go through here, there's a series of air vacuums that take the smaller particles away. You know, the whole operation is really just to get the raisins as clean as possible.
Okay, look at this. Let's go up here. Now, this is the way the raisins go through the line for the sorting process.
Okay, you can see here how the raisins are loose, and we're separating most of the stems in the right. Like, for example, you know, here we've got some farm material that you want to separate.
So as you can see, they're separating the stems. And then as you get down here, you have to size the raisins. I really didn't know.
Right, most people think that raisins are all the same size, but there's large raisins and small raisins.
Look at this. Check this out. Now, these are the rejects, right?
They look like they're okay, but these are light. There's not enough natural grape sugar in these, and so these aren't good enough to get into a box.
Wow, I was rejected by the bunch on the next Charles Perez. I'm giving you show ideas, Charles. Look at this, and then down here, you do the different sizing, right?
Right, so we have midgets, we have like...
Midgets?
Yeah.
We
These are your smaller raisins that go into raisin bread, raisin-type cereal.
And then down here, you can see this is the way it goes through. If the raisin can fit through, and then the holes get bigger and bigger so that they get the different sizing. Here they get inspected, and then down here you can see the end product.
Yeah. Here we have the different varieties of raisins. You saw the naturals, the ones that are made out in the sun. We've also got Goldens and Zanny
This segment's crying for cornflakes.
Let's move around here. Now, the bigger raisins are used in the boxes.
Right.
The smaller raisins are used in
raisin bread or for cereals. Goldens for eating or baking. These are Zanny Currants. This is a special high moisture raisin. You can see all the food products that raisins go into.
All right, thank you a lot, Barry. And you know, those ones that are rejected, you know, you can say I'm too shriveled to be a raisin on the next Charles Perez. So, 2 show ideas,
Right.
Charles, from Sunmade. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you, JD, all the way from Fresno, California.
Yeah, the ones that walk around in the kitchen are a different matter entirely.
Exactly. We're nothing if we're not helpful here on the
That's
show.
right.
That's right. We like everybody to feel like they've gotten something special. Like a look at today's top stories. Yes, indeed.
Hello, everyone. I'm Vernon Shaw. Here's what's making headlines. 2 new jurors will be on the panel when the O.J. Simpson trial resumes today. Judge Edel booted a black man and a Hispanic woman yesterday, leaving only 2 alternate jurors for a trial that's expected to continue for months. President Clinton has made an announcement that shouldn't catch anyone by surprise. Clinton said on CNN's Larry King show that he wants Vice President Al Gore with him again on the Democratic ticket in 1996, but Clinton said he hasn't formally asked Gore yet. And the doctor who operated on actor Christopher Reeve yesterday is calling the surgery a success. Officials say they hope the surgery will help the Superman star sit up and eventually regain some movement in his upper body. And finally, Walt Disney is gearing up for an invitation-only mega party this weekend in Central Park's Great Lawn. 100,000 people will be on hand for the widescreen premiere of Pocahontas. Well, that's a quick look at what's making headlines. Now, here's Jim with the weather.
Rain! Rain! Let's look at those high temperatures. High! That's the weather.
Thank you. Because we're in double digits. Coming up next, will Aunt Mary score with a talk show host? That and more as breakfast time continues.
He's worked for a bunch of talk shows. Now it's Charles in charge of his own. Charles Perez.
What are you doing?
At FX, you don't have to be a bride to find something